Joining us now, House Republican Leader Kevin McCarthy. Mr. Leader, welcome back to the show. So the reports are, as you and I are talking right now, Speaker Pelosi and Chuck Schumer are meeting with the president at the White House. What do you think they're saying? What do you think they're cooking up?
Well, they're cooking up every time they get there. They're just trying to make the bill even larger. You know, $5.5 trillion is not enough for them, so they're trying to spend more because that's, you know, this new Democratic Party, they're not a Democratic Party anymore. They're a socialist big government party. You're right. If you want to save America, you got to kill this bill. And it's not number of bills. It's one large bill. They all go together. If the infrastructure bill passes, reconciliation passes. That's what they're trying to negotiate. That's what Speaker Pelosi's been saying all along. That's what the president's been saying as well.
So I take it there will be no infrastructure vote in the House tomorrow because Speaker thinks she doesn't have the votes?
Well, she was supposed to bring it up on Monday. Then she postponed it to Thursday, and now it's left in limbo. I mean, the socialist wing is saying they'll vote against it. We'll see how big a block that they have. They say they have more than 24. Remember what's happening, though, at the same time. Government funding shuts down. The fiscal year shuts down tomorrow. They control the House, the Senate, and the White House, and they try to create a crisis out of that. Also, transportation funding shuts down if they don't do something. We need to do a continuing resolution, a clean one, and just move that forward and keep the infrastructure funding going right there. Interesting.
So, no votes. You know, your linkage, you've said this all along, to your credit. The infrastructure deal is really arm in arm with the reconciliation deal. You can't have one without the other. So right now they got none. They've got none. And I see, you know, I say it laughingly, but seriously, the left is fighting the far left, and it's mutually assured destruction. So as somebody who doesn't want these bills, Kevin, I think that's good. The longer it takes, the better. Is that fair?
That is very true. Longer it takes, the better. The best part of it never happens at all. Because remember what this is, and remember why Pelosi's fighting so hard. She brought $200 million to her park in her district. You know, they increase it to those who make $800,000. Government will subsidize your Tesla, but only if it's built in a union shop. They'll subsidize your dues, but only to unions. This is really what we're watching here is the takeover of government. And remember, it doesn't matter if they come back and say they lowered the fee or the cost for the reconciliation, because if you put the programs in, the cost will still be there. They're just dialing the numbers back. And remember what Ronald Reagan always said, the closest thing to eternal life is a government program.
Yes. You wrote a great op-ed in the New York Post. Biden Democrats have declared war on American small business. I ask you that not only to attach your op-ed, but I don't think this is well known just how much of an attack there's going to be and how much it's going to damage the economy and hurt jobs and wages.
I mean, you look at the Wharton report. It says if this goes through from the Wharton School, that our GDP in the future will actually go down by 4%, but the cost of government, of our deficits, can go up at 16%. I mean, who wants this? At 20 years old, I started my first small business. And there's 3 lessons I've always learned. I was the first to work, I was the last to leave, and I was the last to be paid. They are the drivers of our economy. Think about what they just went through. Luckily, having you in the administration during that time, we got PPP, give them that bridge to try to get through this pandemic. But now you got government competing with them. So now you've brought inflation back, getting people back to work. Everything's rising up in cost, and it's the small business that is being the most damaged by this and going forward.
You know, inflation seems to be the #1 issue when you poll.
Yep. And it's the #1 issue, but they also know where it came from. It came from the Democrats. This wasteful spending, what they're doing, and now proposing more than $5.5 trillion. I mean, put that into concept. That is what we took to win World War II. And why are they spending it? Really to transform government as we know it, from cradle to grave.
Do you think most Americans think a $5.5 or $6 trillion spending bill will hold down inflation? I mean, President Biden said at one point that will lower the inflation rate. Do you think that's a common sense, widely shared view?
No, but he also says it wouldn't cost anything. I don't know where this Biden administration gets their math. I mean, they're conning the American people here.
No,
It will cost us more than $5.5 trillion.
Am I wrong? I said the House budget mark is $4.3 trillion. And
That's
the
right.
Ways and Means tax hike mark is $2 trillion. So, Mr. Leader, I'm arguing that 4.3 minus 2 equals $2.3 trillion deficit that the pay-fors didn't pay for, and it can't be free. Now, I think that's an unassailable position. President Biden doesn't agree.
But you're also right. Remember, the transportation infrastructure bill was going to be paid for. But the scoring, it is not paid for. So add some more money to that as well.
Yeah, that was 265 on the deficit or some such thing. When do you think, last question, sir, the next vote on anything in the House? Or is Madam Pelosi just going to not vote because she doesn't have the votes?
She has the power to hold it. She said last Sunday that she'll only bring the bill when they have the votes. The more they negotiate, the higher the price it is for the American taxpayer. Remember what this is, though, when they come back and say something is free. Whatever they offer in this bill is not free. The hardworking taxpayer is going to fund it.
Thank you, Kevin McCarthy. Thank you for coming on. We appreciate it very much, sir.